Welcome, Jet fans. I'm Anthony, and this is the Jets Life Podcast. The New York Jets complete the 2022 preseason undefeated, thanks to the King of August himself, Chris Streveler, who had 2 touchdowns on the game. One of those touchdowns was to Denzel Mims, who had 102 yards receiving. The other to Calvin Jackson Jr., which ended up being the game winner with 22 seconds left in the game. Mike White also had himself a great game with 2 touchdowns of his own. Barrios caught one of the touchdowns and Jeff Smith the other. While the reserves had a great game, unfortunately the same can't be said for the starters. In the opening drive of the game, Joe Flacco appeared to be leading a pretty methodical drive that unfortunately ended short with an effort play by Michael Carter. It was third down. Michael Carter was fighting for those extra yards, and it appeared he got enough yardage to get the first down, but before he was able to get to the ground, one of the Giants defenders were able to strip the ball out, leading to a turnover. A few drives later, the Jets offense had another turnover on an errant pass from Joe Flacco that was returned back by the Giants for the touchdown. While the offense didn't impress, you look over to the defense, which had its moments last year of just putrid, 32nd ranked defense, worst defense I've seen in a very, very long time for this team. But they came out in this last preseason game and played a pretty solid game. Michael Clemens, who continues to impress this offseason, came in with an aggressive but legal hit that knocked out Tyrod Taylor for the game. Quan Alexander, a late free agent signing, came in and had an amazing shot that forced a fumble. Unfortunately, we weren't able to recover it, but those are the kind of plays that you want to see out of these linebackers that we didn't have last year. And then I think from offensively, the biggest star of the game, Michael Carter, defensive star of the game, Michael Carter, came in on a house blitz. He was the first one there to get the sack. Quinnen Williams got the finish the job, so it was a half a sack each on that play. And then Michael Carter, either the second or third drive of the game, was able to get an interception that lined the Jets up a pretty good field position on that drive. So overall, really good game from him. Defense, I mean, you like to see, it's encouraging to see that these players are starting to adapt and really, played their first really good game in this preseason. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come and not a result of playing the Giants reserves for most of the game. So very impressed to see where that goes. So with this win, Robert Saleh in his second preseason now has a record of 5-0-1 in the preseason. So what does that mean? Well, based on last year, wins in the preseason, as we know, don't carry over into the regular season too often. But you, again, going back to the additions we've had this offseason, you can only hope and think that the win total will follow and hopefully improve during this season. So with the season coming up, the Jets have a tall ask. Joe Douglas has a lot to do over these next coming days. This roster is at 80 players right now. It needs to go down to 53. A lot of these players on the roster bubble that we've spoke about over these past few weeks are going to be either cut, added to the practice squad, claimed on waivers from other teams, or this could be their last opportunity of being players in the NFL. The positive I'll say about that is that there's going to be some players on this team that are going to go elsewhere and, wish them the best except against us, is kind of what I like to say about that. But, players like Jonathan Marshall, who I think has a shot at the 53-man roster, but definitely is someone that we could kind of consider being on the practice squad. Bradley and another guy that, has a shot at the 53, but could slip out and get claimed on waivers by other teams, or, we can add to our practice squad. There's Lawrence Cager, who had a very impressive training camp, very impressive preseason, plays all over the field. He's still developmental as he's transitioning from wide receiver in his rookie year to tight end in his second year. Kenny Yeboah is another player that had a pretty solid camp, although I think that he's a candidate just to be picked up on the practice squad. I don't think there's much fear of him getting picked up, but I could be wrong there. But just a handful of players, the list goes on and on about these players that, are, borderline NFL talent that, we're potentially letting go. In the past, this wasn't the case. In the past, we were, the ones picking off other teams to try and add to our 53-man roster because, we just weren't talented enough. We didn't have enough skill players. We didn't have, we were weak in many positions. And I think it's a testament to what Joe Douglas has done over these last few off seasons. He's really put a lot of talent on this roster to the point where, other teams are claiming our players. I mean, just even the the cut down from 85 to 80 players, a few of those players were picked up by other teams. And I mean, that's your 85 to 80. Very, very intrigued to see what happens over these next few weeks, which of our players stick around, and for the ones that don't stick around, where do they end up and how do they do in their careers? I mean, this is, the start of something really special, we all hope. And, you would hope that, this coaching staff is able to develop these players to the point where, if they do go elsewhere, they're better for other teams, just, again, not against us. So, with that being said, once this 53-man roster is settled, we'll know going into the season, where we stand, who are our guys, what do we expect, and, get a little bit more of an understanding of what Robert Saleh wants to do. I think we all understand, it starts up front. So I would strongly assume there's going to be 9 or 10 defensive linemen on this team. I think it's more leaning on 9, but there's a guy like Jonathan Marshall or Jabari Zuniga potentially that they want to keep on the roster. I could see them trying to stretch it to 10, possibly even 11. Tough ask there, but it's going to be intriguing, and it's going to be a fun season. Can't wait. We're, as of today, 13 days away, and can't come soon enough. So next step, get the 53-man roster, fill the practice squad, and get ready for the regular season, whether it be with Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco. And